Hello and welcome back to another episode of Blueprints. 4 month basically of days now. That's crazy. 30 days, 30 runs, 90 steps. That's nice. What do we get in our package? Lockpick and compass. I mean, that's alright, I guess. It's fine. Could have been better. It's alright though. We'll live with that. And then yeah, I don't know what we'll do. Yeah, I don't know what we'll do. We'll try to get more keys for the sanctum, and then hope that things work out. I don't know. No plan. Don't know how to have a plan at this point, really. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I want the clue book again. After this book that we have, like, ordered currently. If you could like guarantee that we get a good step setup, this might be okay. But we can't really guarantee that. The trading post just never has been good so far. I don't know. Give me the shelter. And then there's nothing in the safe. Or is there? No, there's just a letter, right? No, there's a gem, right? Okay. Do they always have a gem? Maybe they always have a gem. Feels like they do, but I wasn't sure anymore. And there wasn't really anything else here, right? I think. There's just some boxes, some barrels, nothing. I don't know. I haven't really looked around all that much. Okay, look at that one. And this is just like useless, right? It's the safe is open now, and then the only other thing we have is the radiation monitor. We still have never managed to like trigger. I don't know how we would. Yeah, no idea how we would. But have you read these mails? Yeah, we have, right? We're secure. Yeah, we've read these, right? Stay put. Hang tight for now, R. Yeah, it seems right. Anyway, I guess we can run an experiment from here. So we have that set up early, so maybe we can get a whole lot of triggers. If we get something good at least. Which we might not. Each time you unlock or bypass a security door, each time you find some trash while digging immediately. I mean, we could just immediately add 1 gourd. We're probably not going to find too much trash while digging without having the extra dig spots. So maybe each time... I don't really care for the aquariums right now. Just give me 1 gourd every time we open a security door, and then hope we can like get a few of those. So we would kind of like the security thing early, and a key card obviously would be nice. Then we could do stuff. Yeah, that seems like a good setup. Or like the breaker room thingy. It's not called breaker room, but it's what it is. I'll take it then. It's not great, but it's like decent doors early. Maybe I want better doors later and should save it because of that or something. I don't know, it's fine. Don't mind. Yeah, I'll take the music room. It's too many gems is the thing. Secret garden. I mean, that's a decent key. That gives gives us some value for sure. Really does. Let's see what we have here. Going down to 0 gems is scary though. Yeah, I don't want to. I'm too scared. If I had like a watering can or something, like some way to get back gems reliably, would have been okay, but too scary. Just too scary. I do want to see the library. Maybe corridor first to go outside there. I don't know. It's fine. But this is the last book, I think. The Curse of Blackbridge by Redford Ewing. Interesting. Interesting. Forward. The legend of Blackbridge is one that's well known to the people of the Grand Realm, for versions of this tale have been passed down from generation to generation. With each new telling, the story has changed, becoming over the years more colorful, more verbose, and, as one might expect, increasingly horrifying. However, with so many renditions and unique personal touches, the task of confining and binding this tale to text seemed an ambitious and impossible challenge. Over the course of my research, I have heard dozens of variations of the legend, and while the details would often change, I was surprised how much of the story's heart remained the same. Yet, the more I listened, the clearer it became that there could never be a definitive version of this tale capable of capturing all the wonder and myth of Blackbridge. In the end, I chose to write down what felt most authentic, the story my grandmother told me as a boy long ago. Part 1. The Berry Picker from Oris. Many years ago, before peace had become a familiar word, there lived a group of rogues so wayward that the locals deemed it appropriate to call their number the Unholy Hounds. They were feral outlaws composed of society's worst in a time when society was at its worst, and for each crime that fearful travelers credited to the group, a dozen more lay unclaimed, each worse than the last. For the gentry, however, who often valued their coffers more than their companions, no crime could measure more wicked than the group's primary enterprise, high road robbery. Is it gentry or gentry? I've never looked it up, and I don't know. I think I've been kind of flip-flopping. Anyway, I wanted to look it up because it's a word that has come up a bunch, but whatever. I think gentry sounds more right, but I have no reason for that. I mean, gentleman, that is always gent. It's no gent. But English doesn't really have like any logical structure in terms of pronunciation, so it could be anything really. Anyway, one such member of this so-called band of rogues was a boy of 13 years, Jesper, who had not been lucky in life, having lost 2 brothers to war and parents to famine. In the years of hunger that followed, Jesper lived in a gutter behind a churchyard, relying on the nourishment of scurrying bugs and weeds harvested from the cracks of the alleyway to sustain his pitiful existence. It is not surprising that a child aiming to escape such hardships would take any easy road out, an easy and well-traveled road, paved with temptations leading out of the city and into the gentry lands, where loose purse strings entwine with the strands of salvation and glisten equally with the hope of opportunity. It was this road that eventually led Jesper to the end of his youth, a hidden cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. It was here that he met his surrogate family and saviors, the notorious gang of godless outlaws known as the Unholy Hounds. Despite the hardened circumstances that had led him to this vocation of banditry, Jesper was surprisingly tender-hearted and was often teased by the group for being too kind for such an ignoble life. For this reason, Jesper was assigned the innocent role of berry picker. It was not just innocence that set berry picking apart from the gang's more wicked undertakings, for it was the only duty performed without the safety of night's concealment. Jesper, no stranger to solitude, did not protest that he alone worked while the others slept soundly, tucked away in the cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. On one such occasion, Jasper decided to get an early start. He left the cave, berry basket in hand, and set out into the woods before the morning sun had even brushed against the tallest treetops. It was colder in the mornings, but the headway dawn afforded meant Jasper could reach the furthermost berry patches without worry of being chastised for tarrying upon his return. Wish I had a magnifying glass, but I don't think there's anything there. It took over 3 hours on foot to reach his destination, and along the way Jasper had passed by many a familiar bush, all priorly pillaged and so bereft of berries that one would have to dedicate several moments in earnest examination before finding a single one. Jasper was patient, but even patience has its limits. He was confident that even accounting for the time lost to this long stretch of travel, his efforts would be well worth the pains. Surveying the patches in this new grove surprised even Jasper. The red dots suspended among the leaves seemed as numerous as stars in the skies. Upon seeing such a bounteous sight, he clutched his berry basket tightly and nearly toppled over out of joy. Once he had regained his senses, Jasper quickly made a decision. He would not reveal the location of this newfound treasure. Instead, he would earn the respect of his confederates, who, upon seeing his yield, might attribute the success to hard work. Smiling at his plan, Jasper set off to fill his basket, and was making steady strides in this task when the sound of thundering hooves interrupted him. A carriage is approaching. The thought of it made Jasper freeze. Had he been so enchanted by his discovery that he had neglected to observe his surroundings? How could the roadway be so close? He ducked down and crept towards the impending sound, hiding behind one of the larger bushes nearby. It was only a moment more before the sound's source revealed itself. Within 50 paces of where Jasper hid, an elegant carriage with gold trim came soaring around the corner of trees, led by two beautiful white horses, and conveyed by a stern-looking driver seated atop the vehicle, flaunting the most sophisticated regalia Jasper had ever seen. It was not just any carriage, it was a royal carriage. Even without ever having witnessed such a sight before, Jasper was certain. The sight had so transfixed Jasper that he stood awestruck, unable to tear away as the carriage approached. The little concealment the bush provided was soon proven unequal to the driver's lofty perch, and upon spotting the boy, he pulled the reins with such effect that the noble steeds slid to a sudden halt with precise control. "You, boy, get out from behind that bush," he shouted with a rigidity? It sounds really weird. Rigidity. I can't read. Rigidity, yeah. It still sounds weird, but it's rigidity, yes, it makes sense. That betrayed a modest amount of fear. You startled me half to death, coming round the bend of my own drive, and me seeing such an unfamiliar face in a place where there ought not be any face. Jasper quickly contemplated running. The man was much older, and his dress was suitable for courtly behavior, not dashing through the bramble and mud. I was picking berries. Jasper raised the half-filled basket up to allow the driver to see the proof of his words. The demeanor of the man suddenly changed. It was a change that Jasper was familiar with. He had many times seen the same stern expression on the most fiendish bandits melt away when presented with a berry basket. Any suspicions that the driver might have had instantly evaporated, for even the notion of a member of the unholy hounds picking berries seemed farcical. The softened expression even made allowances for a smile. "Berries, eh? Say, you couldn't have picked a better spot for them, could you? I used to pick berries here as a boy." Jasper took his cue to finally step forward out from behind the bush, proudly brandishing his basket. "I know, and what luck I found them. I've only just begun picking, and look how many I have. It would have taken me 4/4 the time back home to procure this number." The driver bent down for a closer look. "And where's your home, boy? It must be quite far." Jasper replied with a scripted response. "A little south of Tenor Fork, just past the burnt woods." "My God, that is far. You couldn't have come all that way only this morning." It was true, Tenor Fork was in the exact opposite direction that Jasper had traveled, and while that response would seem perfectly reasonable in a location closer to Brackbridge Canyon, you could see why it might seem less believable here. "Sir, I've traveled much farther for much less profit. I dare say there is no distance yet made by man that would not be worth undertaking for a price such as these? Surely you have tasted them for yourself. Jasper felt happy with this response as it seemed to amplify the man's smile. In my youth, often, but perhaps I took it for granted because I never had to travel very far. And even then, my father would always drive us here in our carriage, so I'm ashamed I never had to walk such a stretch to earn an equal reward. It was Jasper's time to smile. Then let my efforts reward us both today. He raised the basket even higher. A taste in memory of your youth, sir. The driver chuckled and removed one glove, bending over the seat to reach down to the basket, and at the moment his fingers touched the first berry, the dagger in turn met his throat, cutting through a superficial layer of skin and drawing blood. Jasper caught the man's startled eyes. And for that taste, I will leave your purse. Will have your purse, sir, in memory of my youth. The driver's arm had gone stiff, his chin raised and trembling, more frightened than he had ever been before. Whether unable or incapable of speaking, he did not respond to the boy. Perhaps he did not think his jaw could afford to be engaged at this particular time. Jasper let the basket drop, freeing his other hand to probe the man's pockets. Do not mistake me, sir. I will not kill you if you give me no cause. Though I will admit the thought of taking your carriage and leaving you the indignity of walking appeals to me. Unable to find a purse in the man's coat, Jasper pivoted to search the seat under him. Why have you no purse upon your person? The driver slowly raised his hand, cautiously pointing toward the carriage door behind him, just below the knife's edge a small degree to allow the man to speak, which he did in turn softly. There's a lockbox in the carriage. Well, come down then and grant me the courtesy of sparing your life and binding your hands, a concession I assure you of my tender heart, for it would be much easier to slit your throat. The man started to comply, slowly lowering himself down the driver's seat of the carriage. Once down, Jasper guided him away from the carriage to a nearby tree, where he instructed him to get on his knees and put his hands behind his back. Excusing his inexperience, the man indulged Jasper while he figured out how to adequately bind him. The smile and kindness Jasper had seen on this man's face, now nothing more than a distant memory, in their place cold dark eyes displaying no emotion. I wonder, should I grant you the same clemency you are showing me? Jasper stopped, surprised by the question, but ignored it, secured the final bindings, and then hastily returned to the carriage. With one hand on the door's handle, he turned back to the man. If there is no lockbox, there will be no clemency. Inside the carriage was surprisingly dusty and unswept. Inside, the carriage was surprisingly dusty and unswept, a stark contrast to the elegant and polished golden facade of the exterior. It had apparently been many years since a passenger had enjoyed passage in this vehicle. This all but confirmed what Jasper had suspected. The driver of this carriage was not a liveried servant in the employ of some greater master. Any curiosity that this observation might have further produced was quickly abandoned upon seeing what rested under the carriage's back seat, a large wooden lockbox. Despite its hefty appearance, the box was surprisingly easy to handle. Within a few minutes, Jasper had dislodged it from its hold and carried it out into the sunlight. Inspecting the box carefully, two observations were made. Totemic symbols found carved on all four sides of the box hinted that the box was very old and likely not created by Orindian hands. It reminded him of artifacts from the old world and was presumably crafted in one of the ancient realms. Secondly, the box was secured by a rusted yet robust padlock and would not open easily without a key. Jasper looked over to see the driver quietly observing from his indentured position. Do you perhaps have a key you can provide me to open this box? Without emotion, the driver replied, There is no key to that box. Jasper stood up. Easy enough then. He headed over to a nearby rock of sizable dimensions and lifted the stone up, carrying it back to the box. If there was ever a time when that lock had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. With one hit, the stone had completely shattered the rusted lock. He bent back down and opened the lid. Inside was an effigy, a crude figure chiseled from stone. Without too much deliberation, Jasper bent down and picked it up, somewhat surprised how heavy it seemed given how light the box had felt. Having expected to find something more akin to gold or gems, he looked questioningly to the man, hoping to find an explanation. The driver's smile had once again returned. You're cursed, boy, for deadly is the stone. You've opened that which should never have been opened, and you are cursed. Jasper carried the effigy over to the man and shoved it in front of his face. What is it? That's one. Feeling his disappointment rising to anger now, Jesper tightened his grip on the effigy. One what, you mumbling a chantor? And in God's name, why have you no purse upon your person? The man did not seem intimidated. 1 pace. He paused for effect. 12 more and you will be dead. He only had a second to flinch before the effigy struck him in the head and put an end to his cryptic ramblings. If there was ever a time when the old man had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. Jesper looked down at the sculpted stone figure, now spread out red. Was it cursed? Was he cursed? He had of course heard stories of curses and had never doubted their validity in the past. But now that he was standing face to face with the possibility of being cursed, his mind pleaded with him to be skeptical. And if he was cursed, what difference would the knowledge make? A dozen more paces would not be enough to find another living soul, to say nothing of the chances of procuring a remedy. If he did not move from where he now stood, he could live maybe another 3 or 4 days, maybe more given the abundance of nearby berries. A plan that, if we ignore its obvious faults, might provide additional opportunities for help to come along. But what good would that do? To be discovered here, beside a body storing goods in hand, bloated from berries and raving about a curse that could very well not be real. No, it would most certainly be better to face one's fate now, take a dozen paces and see if life goes on. But Jesper found his legs unable to make that first step. His mind was unable to convince his limb to waste away 1/12 of his life in a single motion. Feeling the desperation sink in, he hopelessly looked about him for a solution. And if, by some stroke of luck, the gods had heard his plea, a miracle materialized before him as if he found himself suddenly at the end of a fairy tale. 2 white horses and a carriage of golden trim were beside him, the answer to his immediate prayers. He loved his fortune and calculated the short number of paces back to the road. 4. Perhaps only 3 if he jumped. He made a quick survey to see if there was anything he wished to grab before taking the plunge. He thought about removing the driver's fancy coat, as that appeared to be of some value, but the additional risk of undertaking such a task too great to chance. And so, after a profound breath, he took his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th steps, though they were quite large. Seated now behind the horses, he reached for the reins and suddenly realized that he was still gripping the effigy. If the curse was real, then it would most certainly be better left here. If, on the other hand, the story was fictitious, there might be some appraisal that could be made of the figure. It was, after all, found within a lockbox, whose typical function oft secures objects of value. Having witnessed firsthand the horrors of destitution, Jesper found his mind equally reluctant to allow his hand let go. If it is cursed, I die. If not today, then tomorrow. And if I die, what care have I? And with that statement said aloud to the horses seemingly, Jesper took up the reins with confidence. That's a long story. Yeah, still a lot left. We'll take a break here. We'll read more later. I don't have any water. That's bad planning on my part for sure. Alright, I don't really need a bookshop or a secret passage. I guess we can take a gallery. I would really like a left turn, but you know, war. So we'll take the gems from the gallery. And we'll, you know, ponder, we'll think, we'll realize what this is, maybe. I have no idea what this is. This is weird. These ones are weird, but they make sense. I don't think this one does. All right. Let's waste some more steps. Drawing room. Chapel. Nothing has a turn to the right. I guess give me the money here. Never really like a bad thing to have. Let's see what we can get here. Why is it always so hard to get to the foundation? It really always wants me to turn away from it. I swear. I don't know, I think I want more doors. So I'll take a hallway. Can open the trunk. Well, we can open the trunk, but we don't want to spend a key on it, obviously. Because you only have one. Yeah, it's impossible to get to the stupid foundation every time. Every time. Well, it's completely useless again then. As a means of, like, you know, moving up and down and whatever. It's fine. None of those look like the bad one, right? 50% off, that's good. That's a key. And that's an apper? Yes. That's good. That is good. Alright, yeah, that's fun. So stupid though. Doors are so hard to get. It's like, it's just the stupidest thing. I do like a courtyard. So we can get into the place. That's nice. You don't have a shovel though. That's nice. Don't really want to open this. Yeah, shovel would be nice still. But yeah, can't do anything about that right now. Horror. I guess we can take another library here. Now why not? And we'll order a new clue again. Because I'm pretty sure there's another clue in there. We can't use our garden key here. Because we're in one. I mean, this is nice. Kinda. This could be good. We do have some money. I don't know. The study would be a queen room, so we could look at the chest pressing things again. Buffs, boosts, whatever they're called, boons. Or the redrawing for gems is not the worst thing. But we're making it really hard to get out east again. And I don't like it. Oh, we have a save here still too, right? I don't know. It still feels like there's like a reason for this to be spinnable, but I don't know. Maybe there isn't. I don't know what the reason would be, but are there no pictures there? That feels weird too. D8. Okay, so D for December. That's dumb. I don't like it, but okay. It does make some sense. December 8th, yes. M. Is that an M or an H? Be prepared for our plans to be set in motion in a month or two. It's all lining up, and all of our hard work is about to come to fruition. I have just learned that several members of the museum's guard are sympathetic to our cause. We suspect 2 more to be pure opportunists whose loyalty extends only to their coin purse. That's M. Your uncle has already agreed to let us use Mount Horry's flexible floor plan for a trial run, assuming the red print we have secured of the museum's closed exhibit is in fact accurate and up to date. You begin these trials without delay once you arrive. If you can, within the next 2 months, fabricate some fiction that might alleviate us of the presence of the servant staff until we meet on the shore of White Sands, Caleb. Secret floor plan, closed exhibit. That felt weird. I clicked yes, right? That felt really weird. Yeah. Going under all obstacles, the tunnel pierces through walls and rooms alike. This crudely excavated passage looks to be the work of someone determined to get where they're going, regardless of whether the house's floor plan is accommodating or not. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I don't like our setup, but it is what it is. It is what it is. No reason to go in there because it's a dead end everywhere else, because no doors went there ever. I think the compass kind of sucks. Maybe more than kind of, maybe it just straight up sucks. I'm not sure. But what can you do? Like, we can't dead end here, can we? Oh. There would be more items. We could redraw. We do have 7 gems. I would just take the items. But I only have 1 door left. Yeah, it's the compass sucks. It doesn't do anything. It just makes everything worse somehow. I don't know. We need to get out. I can't take the dead end. There's not a great room to like put down. At least here. And without a shovel, you know. With a shovel maybe it'd be okay. I wanna turn left. Okay. I want the items, but I need doors. This is always the hardest thing as of late. It's just having doors that go places. I can't draft doors. God. Come on. Dead end, and then the stupid lost and found. I don't know. This is so bad. Why is it so bad? I don't know. Can't have doors. I mean, they're half off. I'll just buy everything, I guess. Sure. Security is a good get. I think. Kind of, sort of. Well, we don't have a key card though, so like, yeah, it's not as good as it could have been. I don't like it. Actually, this is fine because we have the, yeah, we'll just put this here because it has doors. And it's like sheltered. Yeah, these bricks are breakable, right? Probably. With a power hammer. There would be a security door, but guess what? Cannot open it. Poor is fine here. Yeah. Right, and we do have a sledgehammer now. And a bunch of trunks to open. No other items, right? No shoe, no nothing. Into this dead end here. The breaker room would be lovely. Four items. I guess I'll take 4 items. That's also good, probably. That's my shirt. Some coins. Gem. And coupon book. That's all 4 items. That's really bad items. All right. That's a bad selection. Yes, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. What can you do? We do have 3 doors now. That's something. We really want to go east here. Boiler room goes both ways, sure. I wouldn't mind buying some keys. Maybe a special key could be the thing, you know, the key card, which would help with the experiment that we've, you know, not triggered the door yet because we can't. Sure. Dark room, which is also sheltered. Okay, now we can make a power hammer. That's something. That is something. I wanted this to be locked and it's not. God. The doors in this room are security locked. I still kind of want to put it there. Because I want to see it. Okay. One of those. What card do we need? Is this gray or whatever? How does this work? These turn red? These move sideways. That I do know. What does yellow do? Other than absolutely nothing. Oh, in between it changed. Okay, I see. So we can do this and this. This also works, sure. And this will work, and this will work. And this. Now there are black. I can make them all red. Is that what I want? Apparently. Sure, token, that's fine. I guess I'm a kid, yeah. I was gonna say these are really tall guards, but I'm a kid. Makes sense. Dearest children, the pieces are in place and all rigid cogs have been greased. However, if our ambitious plans are to succeed, we must strike this Tuesday. The routine changing of guard personnel on the first of each month means the opportunity we have created for ourselves will likely never be so opportune. If we wait even one additional week, the window will be closed. On Tuesday, there will be 3 royal guards stationed at Learson Hall, 2 of which will be wearing black gloves in lieu whatever, of the traditional white. How do you say it in English? Because it's right? So it's lieu, probably? I don't know, I don't speak French either. It would be wise to sacrifice almost everything to avoid the white-gloved guard, striking only when he takes a recess. The two black-gloved guards have been instructed to bind, blind, and gag themselves to spare us the precious extra minutes it would take your group to execute a task on their behalf. However, that also means that once we reach the exhibit, we will truly be on our own. May the black shores guide us, may the black skies shield us, may our fathers be proud of us. In arms, your faithful soldier, Pharaoh. Interesting. I mean, not the most amazing room. What do the books mean? I don't know, but it's sheltered, right? So that's actually, yeah, it's fine. This is dead in any way. Give me items. I should raise my allowance because the experiment was successful. What are these items? It's just gems and coins. Oh well. Which means we'll get another one here too. That's fine. I don't want a ballroom. I don't really need a lab. We could get more gems here. I would like to stay out on the east though. Sure. I don't know if I want a bunch of keys. Maybe, but maybe not. So I'm not like super looked in on getting the thing. The locksmith. Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Do I want to turn this now? I don't know, maybe I do. Can I like not look at that? Can I just do I wish this would just automatically do it. Instead of playing this little cutscene every time. I mean, it's fine, I don't know. But it would be annoying to get in and then not be able to go out the other side. Because we're always low on doors. So just having another space that has doors that are open seems like a good idea. I would also like the south door to be open, but like, where's that other lever? I forgot. One is in the greenhouse with the broken lever, but I don't remember where the redundant one is for that one. Anyway, it's fine. I don't care. I do care a little bit. Be another dig spot, but we don't have a shovel. Can't pick this one. Can't pick this one. So maybe I do want more keys, yeah. Perhaps I do. That's not an apper. Unfortunately. No fruit here. Nope. No fruit there, I think. Then I'll spawn point in here, I'm not sure. I don't know, maybe that's okay. Does the compass do? While drafting, you may rotate the first 3 forerunners you draw. That could be nice, but it would be out of money then. Rewind. I don't care. Silver spoon. Whenever you gain steps from eating, gain twice as many steps. I don't really need, you know, that many steps. I don't know. Nothing seems like, yes, this is going to help us, right? Like, it's all just kind of like, I don't know, maybe. What a shame. Not an apper. Nothing here, I think. Not a banana. Come on, give me an apper. Come on, it's all bananas. It's rude. I need more keys now, yeah. This would be keys. We'll take the keys. Begrudgingly, I will accept that the keys are a good thing here. I'll be mad that I don't have this. And I can't do that. Alright. Are we doing anything new here? Well, we did get the new floor plan, and we did look at it. And that's something. This is not really great progress, though. I want the archives. I don't have a patio yet. And you know, I'm missing a bunch of spots where there could be one. And it's gonna be harder to get it if I can see the things I draw. Man. Let's try, I guess. I don't know, nothing else seems reasonable. Oh yeah, and also we bypassed the door, which gave us a trigger. That's nice. Wait, which three were sheltered? Because this was still sheltered, which I thought it wouldn't be because this was the fourth one. But then I guess the chapel didn't count. Maybe because it didn't have a negative effect. That's possible. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like one of these. Maybe this because it's alone. But we don't have the key this time. Because of course we don't have the key this time. I guess give me the studio. I don't know if I like it. Don't have a magnifying glass, can't even look at that. Alright, let's add something. Clock tower. We do need that for one of the keys, right? Yeah. Yeah. I want this. Looks like a trophy. I don't even know. What would be a free gem cost room if we could have had there? I'm not sure. Extra tasty apper. Plus some money. Come on. Could this be a patio? Is the patio of one cost? I'm not sure. Can I look at the... No. It give me a hall, gives me 2 chances to maybe see it. This could have been it. It could have been like any number of things, though. It's hard to say. I really should have looked up the stupid patio first. Is the patio a 1 gem or a 2 gem cost? I don't have a shovel anyway. Right, I can't even dig it up. Nothing matters. Nothing matters at all. I guess we'll eat a pizza. Furnace is the one, yeah. I don't care. Yeah, this is like a kind of empty run. We're not really doing anything. Because I don't know how to do anything here. Like I can't do anything, I think. There's just nothing. Yeah, no shovel. Can't do whatever it is that is in the archives. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, well, let's have a look at this clock tower. Nice key. It's a crack there. And here. We don't have a workshop, right? Go do a battery pack. Oh, but I don't have a broken lever either. Yeah, I have nothing. I can't do anything. The items have just been awful. Yeah. Southward I see a swan, ashen-like sands of the shore, carried by westwardly winds, rogue like the moon of the north. Eastward I see a crow, dark are the days coming forth. Oh, well, there's that. It's a rook room too. What am I interacting with here? I have like, you know, south, west, north, east. And I know where these directions are. This is south. But what am I doing? Like, I don't see how I interact with anything. What was the exact clue for this? The third is high up among all the clocks. It's gotta be here. I don't know. I mean, there's like... I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I was thinking about like rooms, that we have to draft around this. So like south, we put a swan, but we can't really. There's no swan room. I'm pretty sure. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that's correct. Can't use the ladder. I mean, this one is just not moving. The other 3 have the same time. This one has a different time. It's missing like a gear, maybe? But where would I get like an extra gear? I've never seen it. Unless I can like take one out somewhere here, but that's doesn't seem right. I don't know. Okay, what can we do in here? If we just have cardinal directions and nothing else to go off of, I don't think I can do anything, but I don't want to leave it like unfinished when I could have done it. Because who knows when we'll see this again. This might take a long time. Not sure. I don't know what we could do. There's gotta be something we can figure out here, but I can't. I have nothing. What could we do? I can't do anything with the gears or the clocks, the hands of the clocks themselves. There's nothing. This is what, like 1:30, and real time is almost 4. I don't know. Well, there also, yeah, there's this too, which could also be, if this is the bottom where we came in, this is the same time as the stopped one up top. 12, 1, 2. Well, what do I do with that? I have no clue. No idea. Alright, moving on, I guess. Yeah, 1 key for each tomorrow room. How many do we have? Just the 1, right? Pretty sure. Alright, not great. Not great at all. Do we even have doors left now? Yeah, over there. I don't think we'll get anything done though. And everything's gonna be harder because of the stupid archives. So it's just kind of a mess here, yeah. But anything, I don't need the power for anything. Pretty sure. Yeah. Not great. I guess give me 2 free reroars here. And a gem. Because you're low on gems. No extra items, no coin purse, no shoes. Well, I don't have the ward key again though. I only have like 1 door left. Whatever. It's not worth it because I can't do anything with the money either. I don't know. I guess I can buy a luxury item, but those like don't do anything anymore, right? We can make rooms not cost gems. We can what? Double the steps we gain from food. And what was the other one? More tomorrow rooms, I guess. But you know, we have no space left. This is like nothing. Yeah, we're doing nothing. We added the clock tower and we've seen it once. It makes no sense at first glance. So not ideal, I would say. Yeah, we don't care. Rotate. Give me the chronograph, I guess. I don't know. Get more keys tomorrow. Maybe. We don't have any space. Yeah, it's like nothing's worth it here. We did add some money to the allowance. That's nice. And that's about all we did, right? Yeah, not good. Does this have a door? Who knows? It's so stupid. I don't have a gem. I hate you. By the way, give me a code check. I don't care. Everything's bad. I don't really want to have the chronograph again, I think. I don't know. I don't know what do I put here. Like, I don't want anything here because I don't know when I'll get it again. I don't want to draft it because it's a dead end. I don't know. I hate it. I do hate it. But that's the end of the run anyway. Yeah, bad doors, bad rooms, bad everything. We did open a safe. We did get a new floor plan. 2 new floor plans, maybe even. Yeah, the closed exhibit and the clock tower. But then that's about it, yeah. We did get 5 triggers on the allowance and added the 2 allowance from the exhibit too, so that's something. More money. Money's never bad, I guess. I do have a trunk here still, but like, what am I getting there? Nothing, probably. Yeah, I don't know. Can't break open this because we didn't get the crafting thing done. How much stuff is left? At least some fruit, right? 5 for 2 trunks, 1 paper crown. How did I get the paper crown? I tried to get it, I couldn't. But if it's an item, I want to pick it up. Poor... Yeah, dark room. Can't get it. I want it. I can't have it, I guess. Unless there's something I need to do here. Guess not a thing. Okay, shame. Right, whatever. The fact that it like shows up as an item makes me think I should be able to grab it though. But I suppose not. Stupid bananas. Oh, well. Yeah, stupid bananas indeed. Well, maybe we got something good out of the car still. Not sure what can be in the trunk. Other than like gems. Definitely gems though. Where am I going? We need to finish reading the book. Still, I forgot about that. No fruit here. Disappointing. No here? Wow. What a shame. What a shame. Yeah, slightly bad for sure, but what can you do? Another apper. Don't need it really. Just wasting steps to get steps. It's not really worth it anymore. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine. Confused but fine, yes. I think that's a fair assessment of this run so far. Or my like roar in it. What is this? I hate this. D. G. H. L. M. N. Interesting. R. T. A. E. I. O. Do I get a U as well? Yes. U. H. R. Y. F. N. S. O. M. R. A. U. A, E, I, O. We get UM, R, wait, what, that same thing again? U, no, different. UP. GT. CGLN. ORST. Like 8 is so many. It's hard to find words here, I'm pretty sure. NLTA. EIOH. CEDS. TOLU. TYHE. SNRK. And we have 3 sets with the A, E, I, O, A, E, I, O, A, E, I, O. 2 of them have the U as well. The third one doesn't. But those seem likely candidates to be vowels, maybe. It was second, 4th, 6th letter, maybe. What can we do here? Root. Doesn't make sense. Gate. Rate. How about root gate? I don't know. Kate. Ecate. Loricate. Numicate. Gaffycate. Gassicate. Gemicate. Gemicate. No, those are not words. Also, it doesn't have like the sin thing. The pin sin in thing. So if you need an in, maybe. Let's see how many possible spots are there for it. Second and third. 4th and 5th. I think that's it. If you have second and third, din, chin, hin, lin, min, nin, rin, tin. Din, chin, hin, lin, min, nin, rin, tin, din. Doesn't seem right, does it? like a word that is like, in the same vein as ponder, think, and realize. I can't see one there. Din, chin, hin. I mean, chin is chin, and like hindrance or like to hinder or something, but that doesn't really make sense context-wise. Lin, like does linger, or but there's nothing that's long enough that I can think of anyway. Minimum or like minister or ministry or minstrel or but nothing that makes sense. I think nin is cursed. Rin. So if it's not here, then it has to be here. Int. Okay, that makes sense. Enact. Enact. Something enact. I don't know. Doesn't really enact. Not the best word. Innacy? Some innacy? I don't know. But it's not. We don't have a noun. We have think, we have ponder, we have realize, we have verbs. Something innate. Teninate. Tessinate. Theoinate. Timinate. Tyrannate. Tiffinate. Toninate. Tuninate. I don't know. No H. Because I don't think there's a vowel here. I think there's a consonant. So, yeah. And then we don't have. This has to be a consonant, right? So this has to be a vowel, I think. But we have a lot of options. A, E, I, O, U. We have odd options. And a Y, too. Ninate, nisinate, niminate, nominate, but doesn't make sense. It's a word though. Numinate, naminate, raminate, taminate, demonate, geminate, heminate, lemonate, meminate. Neminate. Diminate, chiminate, himinate, liminate, miminate, niminate, riminate, timinate, diminate. I don't know, this is not going where I wanted to go. Dominate, wasn't it? It was a word though. Hominate, lominate, mominate, nominate, rominate, tominate, dominate, yeah, no. Guminate, humanate, luminate, muminate, numinate, ruminate. That is a word, sure. It's a weird word, but it's a word. God. Where is the room? The thing is a room, but in 8? There are pins in the 8, but they're not. The room is not in the 8. The 8 is in the room. This is not right. You have seven sin bins. You have a fin that's just one. You have a whole lot of like pins or maybe nails, you know. And you have one infinity 8 on some pillars. I don't know. I don't like this one. What was a new key? Key 8. Presumably we will unlock roommate. Okay, so that's how we get to roommate. Roommate, ruminate, or whatever. But we don't have any doors. Alright. That's a shame. Below the black bridge, Miller awoke to some light nudging from a familiar foot. Only one person would have the cheek to awaken her in such ill-mannered fashion. Shaking the sleep from her eyes, she glared up at him in the darkness, but did not say a word. He nudged her again, teasingly, then stepped back into the dim. After taking a moment for her eyes to adjust to the darkness of the cave, Miller remembered she was on third watch today. Quietly collecting her things and wits, Miller turned as she left, waving to her young friend, who was more than likely already asleep. She crept through the cabin's main passage, careful to not wake the sleeping bandits around her. Like a hero in a book, she often mused. Quietly, she grabbed a bow from the haphazardly formed pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. She then walked towards the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Above her, in one of the few trees found in the canyon, Miller could see that Ravia was already posted. She waved, and Ravia waved back. Calling out to each other was strictly forbidden. Anything louder than a gesture in the canyon was forbidden. When Miller reached the tree, Ravia lowered a braided rope and pointed to the ground behind her. Miller turned, following the finger, and saw a pail of water resting beside a nearby log. She turned back to Ravia, nodded, and secured the pail to the rope. The pail went up first, and in turn Miller followed. Ravia reached across to grab the water. Miller leaned back to give her space. There was not much room for maneuvering in this tree post, a necessary concession for the concealment the outpost demanded. Ravia tilted the pail up to her mouth dramatically, illustrating how thirsty she had been. Miller laughed silently as water poured out, splashing onto Ravia's face. It was a bit too daring and noisy of a joke, and had the others been around, they would have certainly been scolded for the unwarranted sound. But Miller appreciated the efforts Ravia took to verbalize the silence of the morning. They had been on third watch together for over a month, and during that speechless time, their friendship had grown into something special. Affection was unsurprisingly scarce among the unholy hounds. She had felt camaraderie before, of course, but intimacy never. From their elevated vantage, the girls could see both the concealed entrance of the cavern as well as a clear view of the bridge that spanned across the canyon. Black Bridge was the link between the Gentry lands and the northern mountains, the overpass that connected Oris and Reddington. To the city-faring travelers of the realm, the bridge was an unavoidable crossing. In the day, the task was to ensure that travelers passed by without stopping. At night, the task was to ensure that they do. Like most of her band, Miller preferred the night. The biting glare of the sun might be tolerable to farmhands and bricklayers, but to a cavern-housed bandit it was a source of constant annoyance. In the day, there was no shroud to conceal her expressions, nor to hide her thoughts. She felt exposed. Ravia touched her elbow and pointed up. Miller, striving to suppress a budding smile, suddenly shook her head in response. There were many signs that the unholy hounds used in lieu of words, but the two of them had developed an extended vocabulary, just quietly forged in the sheer solitude of their month among the branches. She watched as Ravia shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Miller knew what she was trying to say, but shook her head a second time. It was often more fun to pretend not to understand. Ravia rolled her eyes and turned away, looking back to the canyon. Squinting through the leaves, the two girls held still, watching and listening. It was not long until Miller, too, heard the sounds of approach. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and a few moments later 2 men emerged from the bridge's southern end. They were dressed in a familiar uniform, long grey coats with black facings, white waistcoats, and black tricorn hats. They belonged to the local patrol, the Black Guard. Although not an everyday occurrence, their presence at Black Bridge was an unusual sight. It typically indicated an important traveler's impending passage across the bridge, information that the girls would promptly relay to their leaders as soon as the coast was clear. But this report, while exciting, was rarely acted upon. In Miller's 5 years at the Unholy Hounds, she had never once seen a carriage taken in open daylight when the Black Guard was nearby. The men had nearly reached the bridge's north end when Miller heard the horses, faintly at first, but growing louder with each passing moment. Ravia's eyes met Miller's, the same concern mirrored in each other's expression. This did not sound like the typical carriage, cautiously approaching the bridge to cross. Instead of the familiar crunch of the high road's gravel, they heard the harsh clattering of hoofbeats against stone. Both girls quickly redirected their attention downwards, looking through the foliage. The sounds were not coming from the high road, but from the canyon itself. The horses were coming from below the bridge. In an instant, Miller had knocked an arrow and drawn her bow. Go! Ravia was gone before the whisper had even left Miller's mouth. The young scout was already sliding down the bank below, racing toward the cave. There was no road that ran below the canyon. There was no reason for numerous horses to be approaching their cave. There was only one reasonable conclusion. Both girls had reached it instantly. The base had been compromised. This was a Blackguard attack. The moment the horses came into view, Miller let loose her first arrow. She was surprised to see a carriage. She had expected cavalry. Before she even finished processing that thought, a second arrow was in the air. Without a trail, it would be unthinkable for a carriage to traverse such rough terrain that she watched as the wheels chortled over the rocky riverbed. A third arrow was now in flight, and there would be no need for a fourth. The driver slumped over just moments before the vehicle dipped into a small ditch, slamming into an embankment. The force of the sudden halt immediately shattered the front two wheels and catapulted the driver from his seat. Utterly confused now, Miller quickly glanced over her shoulder to see if any horses were also approaching from the rear. Down in the canyon, the entire horde of the unholy hounds came spilling forth from the earth as if hell itself had suddenly sprung open. The group seemed even more bewildered than Miller, half asleep and tripping over one another in a desperate attempt to engage an unseen enemy in combat. Miller could see Ravia among their number, the only one looking up at her. Her expression was chilling. There would be no need for a silent gesture to convey what they both now realized. They had made a mistake. The gang's chieftain, Jeffrey Heartslasher, or the name, led the others cautiously approaching the crashed carriage like a suspicious fox with near baited trap. There were no words exchanged as the group crept forward in customary silence. A dozen or so paces in front of the wreckage lay the far-flung driver, an arrow protruding from his broken body, and beside him, a blood-stained effigy carved from stone. Miller was inconsolable. Jasper had always been her favorite. He had always shadowed her in the night, clinging to the hems of her every move, the way a child tails behind an older sibling. Tender-hearted, she had always called him, though deep down she had known that wasn't quite true. His appearance of gentleness concealed a raw, resilient durability that emerged in the most perilous of situations. He had been a flower among the nettles of this cave, but he still had thorns, honed by a grim past and 100 hands of misfortune. They buried him in the darkness in the back of one of the larger cabin rooms. He was interred with a berry basket and a silk handkerchief that he had treasured. The mysterious effigy they had found beside him served as a distinguished gravestone, a marker that stood out as somewhat special among the rows of similar swords marking neighboring plots. No one spoke, not even in whispers. There was nothing to say. And we had a magnifying glass. Miller awoke the next day to a thunderous shaking and rattling of the earth. A far cry from the playful nudging of the previous day. She strained to adjust her eyes, but the choking sting of stirred-up dust caused her to flinch. Panic was also in the air. The sounds of scurried footsteps and clattering feet filled the space around her. But even in alarm, the silence was louder. What was it that sounded so strange? Miller closed her eyes tight and used her feet to guide her along the passage. The whispers around her were getting louder, and intense voices could be heard ahead. Louder speech than she had ever heard spoken in the canyon. A growing dread grew as Miller approached the mouth of the cave, her eyes now open wide despite the dust. Shouldn't it be day? Miller felt a hand in the darkness pulling at her. It was Ravia. The two embraced, and Miller did not need to see her to understand. Ravia placed 2 bent fingers against Miller's cheek. And with that touch against her face, Miller felt the same sinking feeling from the previous day. 2 bent fingers confirmed what Miller had suspected. The girls had forgotten to relay one critical piece of information to the others. An hour or so later, the screams began, blood-curdling cries of hopeless desperation. Captain Fodrick Lee of the Blackguard looked down from the ridge of the canyon to the collapsed entrance of the cave. Ah, he grinned. Now they speak. Interesting. Not sure what we really gain from this. Maybe nothing. It is a nice story. Well, it's a cursed story. Definitely a cursed story. Yeah, I'm not sure what we do with this information though. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, maybe if a magnifying glass has stuff there, but it doesn't feel like it, to be honest. It doesn't feel like it. Alright, but yeah, I think that's all we can do, right? maybe. Do have a bunch of money, but like nothing to spend it on. Which is a shame. Lovely treasure map with no shovel. Do we have this room even? Yeah, but yeah, no shovel. So unless we can like sledgehammer the thing open, it's not really gonna do anything, is it now? This could be a shovel. I don't know what. Yeah, no idea what to do with any of the things that we accomplished or didn't accomplish. That's okay. We'll get there. I don't know. We did find some new rooms. We did get ruminate. I mean, yeah, actually the letters did help in the end because it, like, you know, yeah, making words is easier when you know which letters you have. I want a screenshot of this, I think. And I don't know what this piece of whatever is. It seems important, but I can't like look at it or take it. Oh, it's like a, wait, that's a... Is flowers an option? Where are my screenshots? No, that's discussion. Screenshots. Poetic, yes. Strong focus on the advancement of the arts, writing, music, and language. That's one of the sigils, but I don't know which one. Yeah, no idea. Okay. I think I'm good calling it here. Could have code checked something, but again, I don't really care. Because you never know what you'll end up needing or when you'll get it back anyway, so I don't know. Architect's Museum. 6 drafting rooms, a gallery, and a closed exhibit. Nice. 39 rooms, 9 ranks, 146 steps, not bad. 2 new rooms. That's nice too. And yeah, we definitely want the gallery again now. So we can get the key again. And then get roommates drafted and see what we do with that. Yeah, I don't know. That's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.